Hello students. So now in the previous class we have discussed about the various characteristics features of the echinodermata and as well as hemichordata. I told you in the previous class that is hemichordata is also normally comes under that is invertebrates. Why it is entered in the invertebrate, you can see that once the character we have discussed about that the stomochord and the notochord. Apart from that, gill slits, it is going to be found, gill slits, gills are going to be found or gill slits are going to be found. This is the characteristic feature of the chordate. Gill slits are going to be found, whereas in the case of invertebrate, gills are going to be found. Slits andre aperture. So now in this way, the differentiation between the that is notochord and the stomochord, that what we have seen, and why it is normally connected more toward the invertebrates. Majority of the character they are showing the invertebrates, that is including the that what we have discussed about the stomochord, and open type of circulate system is also going to be found there, right. So now continuation of that, now we are moving toward the chordates. So heading we have to write that chordates or chordata. What do you mean by the term chordate? Chordate is nothing but chordata. Chord means a rod-like structure. Eta is nothing but the bearing. The organism or the animal which bears a rod-like structure on the dorsal surface. That is what we are saying it as a chordate. The animal which is supposed to be having the dorsal, that is the notochord, what we are saying that, or the rod-like structure, that is considered as a chordate group. Now, why it is some of the animals are there? Some of the animals are there which are possessing the only notochord and vertebral column is not going to be found. So those are also considered as a chordate. But majority of the animals, like the higher animals, what we are saying that the usually notochord is replaced by vertebral column. So that is why basically we are chordates. Basically we are chordates. That what we have to observe here. Why? What is the difference between the chordates and the vertebrates? What is the difference between chordates and vertebrate means? Chordates are nothing but presence of the notochord. But now some of the animals, the notochord is normally remain same. It is not going to be replaced or changed. That is why those are also belongs to the chordate. But in the higher animals, you can observe that the notochord is replaced by vertebral column. Notochord is replaced by the vertebral column. That is the difference what we are saying that. Adakagi, suppose if anybody asks that, in which group you are belonging, whether it is chordate or non-chordate, chordate or vertebrate, so we have to say that basically we are chordates. Basically we are chordates. So this chordate or the notochord is replaced by vertebral column. First formation agidde notochord. Adadmele then it is going to be replaced by the vertebral column. This vertebral column which is going to perform the series of bones. That skeletal system anta karitanu. What is the importance of this skeletal system? It is going to give the definite shape to the body. Right. So now these are what we are saying it as a chordate. Enormous amount of the organism it is going to be found, but few animals are there in which they are having only the rod-like structure on the dorsal surface and it is not replaced by vertebral column. Those are also called as chordates. That what we are going to be studying now. Okay, now protochordata anta kuda karitu. Protochordates. So now we are moving toward the chordate. What are the general characteristics of chordates? General characteristics, now we have to say that the three basic characteristics of chordates are there. Number one, three basic characters of chordates. Three basic characters of chordates. What are the three basic characteristics of chordates? Number one, three basic characteristics of chordate are presence of notochord and dorsal tubular nerve cord, and third one is pharyngeal gill slits. Pharyngeal gill slits. These are the basic characteristics of chordates. So now nerve cord is there, notochord is there, gill slits are going to be found. Gill slits are, now we can see that the paired gill slits are going to be found. Gill slits are normally found in the form of paired. So these are the gill slits. Slits andre aperture. Slits andre aperture. That is what we are saying it as in gill slits. Ega. For example, gills ಮತ್ತು gill slits andre gills are normally found like this. Gills are normally found here like this. Book lungs and all those things it is going to be found. But now slits andre those gills are normally present in the form of slits or the aperture. So what we are saying it as in gill slits anta ಕರೀತೀವಿ. ಹೌದಾ? So now slits are the aperture. ಈಗ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿರ್ಬೋದು ನೀವು cups and saucers. The saucers we are keeping, can see that how exactly the saucer is normally sitting in the particular region, that is the slit aperture. So where the gills are going to be found. So in this way normally gill slits andre ಆ ಥರ apertures ಇರ್ತವೆ, right? So now here these are considered as pharyngeal gill slits. So presence of notochord. Noto refers to back, chord andre rod like structure. Noto refers to back, chord andre rod like structure, that is considered as a notochord. Nerve cord is there and the pharyngeal gill slits are also going to be found. So now these are the basic characteristic feature of the chordate. Apart from that, we know about the general characteristics of chordates andaga. General characters andre common characters are there. What common characters are there? Triploblastic, bilaterally symmetrical, all are coelomate animals with organ system grade of organization. Ivella same bರ್ತವೆ. Lower animals only we have observed about this, but here same character. Not necessary to write again organ system grade of organization because these are the higher animals. So now next is adu one basic characteristic, you can see that. Important is normally closed type of circulatory system is going to be found in all the animals. Chordata ಎಲ್ಲ animals ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲೇಟರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಈಸ್ ರೆಡ್ ಕಲರ್. ದಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ದಟ್ hemoglobin is going to be found. So like that here we have to be observe that closed type of circulatory system. How the excretion takes place by means of a normally pair of kidneys. So these characters are normally found in the case of the higher animals. A pair of kidney irbodu and all those things. Lower animals nalli andre protochordates nalli irodilla. So we can see that here as we are moving toward the higher animals, all the systems are going to be well developed or the advanced characters we are going to see that. ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಎರಡು ಅಂದರೆ, ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಡ್ ದಟ್ ದಿ ಬೈಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರಲಿ ಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಲೋಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಎನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಿಲೋಮೇಟ್ ಕ್ಲೋಸರ್ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಫೌಂಡ್. ಸೊ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲದರಲ್ಲೂ ಲಂಗ್ಸ್ನಿಂದ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಯು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ನೋ ದಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್. ಹೌದಾ? ಫ್ರಾಗ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಟ್ಯಾಡ್ಪೋಲ್ ಲಾರ್ವಾ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ದಟ್. That is the closed type of circulatory system we have to be observe that. Now next we have to write down that differences between the chordates and non-chordates. Now we have to write the differences between chordates and non-chordates. We have to write the differences between chordates and non-chordates. Differences between chordates and non-chordates. Difference between chordates and non-chordates. So now here I am writing the chordates. Very simple, you can see that this is also normally asked for 5 mark question. Difference between chordates and non-chordates. So now what differences we are going to observe here? ಏನು difference ಇದೆ ನೋಡ್ರಿ. Number 1, same thing, presence of notochord. Next what we are writing? notochord, nerve cord and the gill slits ಅಂತ ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ಹೌದಾ? Next dorsal. ಹೌದಾ? single nerve cord, and this is hollow nerve cord. This is, here we have to say that here number 1, notochord is present, notochord is absent. Here nerve cord is present, yes, nerve cord is double, can't, solid, ventral, like this. As we have discussed in the case of the annelidans, double ventral nerve cord anta nodenu, hangagi ಇಲ್ಲಿ absent ಅಂತ ಬರಿಬಾರದು. You should not write here absent. Next is third one, gill slits are present. Here we have to write gill slits are absent. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ only gills are present, as you already know that. Slits ಅಂದ್ರೆ aperture, it is not going to be divided. Next is fourth one, heart is ventral or dorsal. Just you have to observe that this part is ventral, so heart is ventral. In the case of the invertebrates, now heart is dorsal, in the bracket, if present. ಹೌದಾ? ಯಾಕಂದರೆ if present ಅಂತ ಯಾಕೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, because we have to see that some of the animals that belongs to invertebrates that does not have the heart. That is why higher animals ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಅರ್ತ್ ವರ್ಮ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಲೀಚಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, heart is going to be found, number of hearts are going to be found. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೂಡ dorsal ಇರ್ತದೆ, right? Next is fifth one, post anal tail is present. Next one is post anal tail is absent. So now post anal tail is present, post anal tail is absent. So in this what we are observing that the post anal tail is present. What do you mean by this? Post anal tail is present, post anal tail is different. You know about that anus. Like last part you can see that where the fecal matter is going to be found, post anal tail is present. You go through the mammals, you can see that the tail is present. Tail irthude, just you have to see that. Yavade example togori, cat, rat, and even we can observe that the monkeys, ivella nodru, tail is present. Elli irthude? After the completion of the anus ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಪ್ರೀ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನಸ್ಗಿಂತ ಮೊದಲು. ಸೊ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಟ್ ದಿ ಎಂಡ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇಂದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು, ಹೌದಾ? ವರ್ಟಿಬ್ರಲ್ ಕಾಲಮ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇಂದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಅನ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಲ್ ಟೇಲ್. ಏನಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ದ ಫಿಕಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಸೆಂಟ್ ಔಟ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅನ್ ಏನಸ್. ಅದೇ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೆದಾರೆ. ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಲ್ ಟೇಲ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್. ಎಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯಾಮಲ್ಸ್ ಟೇಲ್ ಇರ್ತವೆ, ಆದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟೇಲ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಅನ್ ಅಬ್ಡಾಮಿನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್, ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಸೇ ದ ಟೇಲ್. ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಸ್ಕಾರ್ಪಿಯನ್ ಇದೆ. ಸ್ಕಾರ್ಪಿಯನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ದ ಅಬ್ಡಾಮಿನ್ ರೀಜನ್, ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ಅಬ್ಡಾಮಿನ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ನಾವು ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ ಅಬ್ಡಾಮಿನ್ ರೀಜನ್. ಸೊ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದೇರ್? ಪಾಯ್ಸನಸ್ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದೇರ್. ಆದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಬ್ಡಾಮಿನ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕರೀಬೇಕು. ವಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಟೇಲ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಟೇಲ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಫೌಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ chordate group. So in this way post anal tail is present. This is an important question in the examination. Differences between chordates and non-chordates for 5 marks. Earlier it has been asked. So now 5 mark questions just you have to keep in mind differences between the chordates and non-chordates. Very simple matter. Earlier only I told you that 3 basic characteristics of chordates. Adar jothe you kuda 5 characters idralli there is no hard that character what we have written, that heart is ventral, heart is dorsal anta barthe, that we know that. Post anal tail is present, post anal tail is absent. Yarig gottirutte nerve cord, we have studied in the case of annelida. I have written that nerve cord is present on the ventral surface, athwa double ventral nerve cord iruttade, illi single hollow nerve cord is going to be found. So this is a 5 mark question we have to be study, and we have to practice it. Idanna practice ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Although if you want, you can take down this, because the important in the examination part, always you have to see that the question is going to be asked. Questions ಕೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡಿ. So now, after completion of this, we are moving toward the next group, that is ignored. Differences ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ now we are moving toward the next part, that is the phylum chordata. Phylum chordata is divisible into, phylum chordata is divisible into 3 subphyla. Phylum chordata is divisible into 3 subphyla. Phylum chordata is divisible into 3 subphyla. Now you can see that the based on the position of notochord, based on the position of the notochord. So phylum chordata is divisible into 3 subphyla, continuation of that. So based on the position of the notochord, the rod-like structure, based on the position of the notochord. So now here we have to observe that the, now based on the position of the notochord andaga, we have to see that, note, phylum chordata. ಹೌದಾ? Phylum chordata is divisible into 3 subphyla. That is Urochordata ಅಥವಾ Urochordata, then Cephalochordata, Urochordata, Cephalochordata, then vertebrata, Urochordata, Cephalochordata, vertebrata. So now Urochordata, now you can see that the Uro refers to tail, Uro refers to tail. ಹೌದಾ? ಯೂರೋ ಅಂದರೆ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಕೆಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಟೇಲ್ ಅಂತ ಬರೀತೀವಿ. ಯೂರೋ ರೆಫರ್ಸ್ ಟು ಟೇಲ್, ಸಿಫಾಲೋ ರೆಫರ್ಸ್ ಟು ಹೆಡ್. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಹಿಯರ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಸಿ ದಟ್ phylum chordata is divisible into 3 subphyla based on the position of the notochord ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. based on the position of the notochord ಅಂದರೆ Urochordata, Cephalochordata. ಈ Urochordata ಮತ್ತು Cephalochordata specifically we are going to be called as protochordates. Specifically we are going to be called as protochordata. Why we are calling it as protochordata? Because these are the primitive chordates. ಅಂದರೆ ಇವೆರಡರಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ಒಂದು notochord ಇರ್ತದೆ, rod like structure is going to be found, but this rod like structure is not going to be replaced by vertebral column. It remains as it is. That is why it is normally belongs to the protochordates or the primitive chordates. ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಇವು chordate ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇವೆ, and these are not belonging to the vertebrates. ಇವೆರಡು vertebrate ಅಲ್ಲ, chordate ಇವೆ. ಹೌದಾ? ಯಾಕೆ? ಓನ್ಲಿ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಶೋಯಿಂಗ್, ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ರಿಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ವರ್ಟಿಬ್ರಲ್ ಕಾಲಮ್. ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದೇನೆ, ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ನೋಟೋಕಾರ್ಡ್. ಯೂರೋಕಾರ್ಡೇಟಾ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಬರೀತಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನೋಟೋಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ at the tail region. ನೋಟೋಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ನೋಟೋಕಾರ್ಡ್. ಈಗ ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ನೋಟೋಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಈಸ್ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಆಟ್ ದ ಟೇಲ್ ರೀಜನ್. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಯೂರೋಕಾರ್ಡೇಟಾ. ಹೌದಾ? ಯೂರೋ ಅಂದರೆ ಎಂಡ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಟೇಲ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಯೂರೋಕಾರ್ಡೇಟಾ. ನೋಟೋಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಟ್ ದ ಟೇಲ್ ರೀಜನ್. ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಅಸಿಡಿಯಾ, ಸಾಲ್ಪಾ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತವೆ. So now these are the example what we are observing in the case of the Urochordata. Cephalochordata nodri. Cephalochordata means here notochord extends from head to tail. ಅಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿತ್ತು, ಓನ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದಟ್ ದಿ tail region anta karedevu. But here in the case of cephalochordata we are observing that the notochord is normally found from the head to tail. Andre head to tail notochord is going to be found, but it is not changes into vertebral column. Illi vertebral column aglilla, only the rod like structure remains. Followed. So what we are saying that the notochord extends from head to tail anta karedevu. This is what the unique feature we are going to be see, that notochord extends from the head to tail. Next is ಇದು ಒಂದು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು. Now we are moving toward the ಇದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ notochord extends ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೋಡ್ರಿ ಮುಂದಿನ ಜನರೇಷನ್, next generation. So this notochord is replaced by vertebral column. Notochord is replaced by vertebral column. They are belongs to the vertebrates. Right. Example branchiostoma ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಬ್ರಾಂಚಿಯೋಸ್ಟೋಮಾ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಅದು ಆಂಫಿಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ನೌ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಿ cephalochordate. Now we are moving towards vertebrates. Vertebrates ಅಂದರೆ notochord replaced by vertebral column. Notochord replaced by vertebral column. So what we are saying, the vertebrates. All systems ಬರ್ತಾವೆ ನೋಡ್ರಿ. Vertebrate ನಲ್ಲಿ all the systems are going to be found. Examples ಅಂದರೆ so many examples are there. Right from Pisces we are going to be say that about amphibians, Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, all those they belong to the vertebrate itself. Notochord is replaced by vertebral column. All the systems are going to be generated. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ systems ಇರ್ತಾವೆ ಅಂದರೆ now we can see the digestive system is complete, circulatory system is of closed type. ಹೌದಾ? Now we can see that the heart is what are the characteristics of vertebrates? What are the characteristics of vertebrates? ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಜನರಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತವೆ. Closed type of circulatory system is going to be found. Excretion takes place by means of pair of kidneys. ಹೌದಾ? Now we can see that the ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಂದಾಗ ನಾವು 4 chamber ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಚೇಂಬರ್ಡ್. Heart is chambered. Why? Because in the case of fishes is different, amphibians are different. How the aves and the mammals are going to be found? Andre 4 chambered. That's what we are saying that. So 2 chambered, 3 chambered, 4 chambered heart we are observing among the vertebrates. That is why here the character what we are writing, heart is chambered. Okay. ಇದು ಮುಗೀತದು. ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಡ್ ದ ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಲೋಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ದೋಸ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್, ನಾಟ್ ನೆಸಸರಿ ಟು ರೈಟ್. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ನಾವು ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್. ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸಪರೇಟ್. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಯೂನಿಕ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ಮೇಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ದಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದ ವರ್ಟಿಬ್ರೇಟ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ದಟ್. ರೈಟ್. ವೇರ್ ಡು ಯು ಫೈಂಡ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಎನಿಮಲ್ ಕಿಂಗ್ಡಮ್ ಆರ್ಗನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಸ್ಕೆಲ್ಮಂಥಿಸ್. Where do you find first time closed type of circulatory system is going to be found in the animal kingdom? Annelida. So like that we have to remember only those questions are going to be asked. Vertebrate character also I told you that because the complete system is going to be found. Idella complete system ಬರ್ತವೆ. Last character success are separate ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಸಾಕು. Right? So this is what we have observed that in the case of the vertebrate. So all these are the position of the notochord. Based on the position of the notochord I told you that urochordata, cephalochordata and vertebrata. Okay. So now in the next video we are going to study the characteristics and the classification of the vertebrates only. Ishtu saku. So we are saying that the next vertebrate nalli yavyav bartave classification part we are going to study. Then Pisces, amphibia, reptilia, aves and mammalia general characters. I will tell you that how to write those characters also. ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ವೈಸ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಬರೀಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೋ ಫಾರ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟೆಡ್ ರೈಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಪೋರಿಫೆರಾ ಟು ದ ಮೆಮೇಲಿಯಾ, ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ ನಾವೇನೇನು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡೆವು, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ 1 page and go on writing the minimum 5 characters and those characters should not be included in any phylum. Away salient features with few examples you have to write down so that it is to be helpful. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೆನಪಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಮೊದಲನೇದಂದರೆ ಈವನ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ಹೆಮಿಕಾರ್ಡೇಟಾ ಅಂದರೆ so it is not possible. Daily ಓದ್ಕೋತ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು because 5 marks or 7 marks or 8 mark questions are going to be asked in the animal kingdom. Follow all of you? Right. In the next class we are going to be study about the remaining part, that is the vertebrates. Okay. Have a nice day.